What do tanks, dismounted infantry, and motorcycles all have in common? They've been heavily targeted by drones over the last couple years. Now, unless you live under a tunnel in New York City, you've probably heard some internet edgelord talk about the age of tanks is over. But before we get too started into that, let's go ahead and thank our first sponsor of the video. The first and only sponsor of this video, actually, is me. Do you want a nice, comfortable Abrams Hawaiian shirt? You want to look sick? Bring all the meat to the wagon? Are you going to be super sunburned come this July 4th, America's 250th? Well, after that, you're going to need something to be nice and soft against your skin. Get you an Abrams Hawaiian shirt. There's also Sherman Hawaiian shirts. There's patches, there's stickers, there's cups. There's all manner of different things on the site. Please go down to the link below, click, get yourself some stuff, support the channel. Now, without further ado, on to our damn video. I had to move inside. It was too damn hot outside. We have seen drones dominate the battlefield in Ukraine. We have seen Russian turtle tanks return. Welcome back, A7V. We have seen Russian turtle tanks be developed. Now we are seeing the proliferation of cope cages on damn near every vehicle. The Abrams that were given by both the United States and Australia have been fitted with Contact One anti-drone cages to kind of shore up and harden up some areas that were exposed, because when these tanks were developed, drones were not they were not on the battlefield. We didn't have to worry about that. Top attack was like a minimal threat for tanks. They were focused on direct fire between big bullet and big bullet. Tank on tank, tank on ATGM. That was the big thought process. Now we are seeing a need to rapidly move the needle forward in terms of defense technology. We are seeing the need for things like directed energy weapons, like the Leonidas, which uses a pulse to be able to knock down between one drone or an entire swarm. Now, recently they were able to knock down 49 drones as part of a swarm in just one exercise. That was version 1 of the system. They're already on version 2 of it and soon version 3, but that thing by itself is still going to be vulnerable. You need to have an entire ecosystem of these systems to be able to have mutually supporting assets integrated with things like M-SHORAD, or short-range air defense, to be able to knock out low-flying aircraft, helicopters, loitering munitions, things that are a little bit larger. Then you have those directed energy weapons like lasers, like Leonidas, coupled with kinetic systems that are able to be like counter-drone drones that are out there, things that are, APKWS mounted on a drone platform that flies around and just launches smaller rockets at these drones. There's a lot of different systems that are currently out there and being developed that are going to help harden your armored formation so they can focus more on tanking than having to stop, look around, what the hell's up above me, or, right now, if a tank makes it within 10 kilometers of the front, it's instantly swarmed by drones. That's why you're only seeing like 1 or 2 tanks at a time. You're not seeing a massive armor formation, also because with all those drones coming in, also they can launch in helicopters, and Ukraine does not necessarily have a phenomenal SHORAD system. They don't have short-range air defense that they can just plug into those things, and also due to the decentralized nature of Ukrainian forces, it's kind of a complex topic. But staying on the drone thing, what are your favorite contractors doing? Things like Leonidas, things like M-SHORAD, things like Dedrone. All of these different technologies are rapidly advancing. Check every major defense expo, and it is filled with aisles of anti-drone technology, jamming, spoofing, kinetic, APS, active protection system, reworking of Iron Fist and Trophy to be able to counter drones. That is at the forefront of your favorite defense technologies, because, yes, while it's easy to say, oh, well, the era of tanks is over. They've been saying that since 1916, so the era of tanks is not over. That's like saying the era of the dismounted infantry is over, because tens of thousands of them have been killed in Ukraine due to drone attacks. Does that mean that we should just stop sending troops? War is hard. War is inherently difficult, but war also forces innovation. Innovation that is going to help us succeed so that we can gain and maintain momentum and increase our share of the battlefield, to be able to do what tanks do best, which is fire and maneuver. Now, these vehicles are going to, these things like Leonidas are going to be able to move along with your armored formation so that you have a system that creates a bubble around you so that you can focus on direct fire. Now, the air guard is something that's been around for many years. The air guard is a concept of having your loader when you're in the halt or on, it's MET-TC dependent, which is basically situational dependent. You can have your loader or somebody as an air guard looking for vertical threats, making sure that there's no flying aircraft, helicopters, whatever it is, drones, and communicate that back to your air defenders in the rear or whoever else is in the battle space. And that'll kind of dictate, do we need to go into overhead cover or whatever your SOP is to react to drone. That's what that air guard is for. But you're going to have to do a lot less air guarding because you're going to have an integrated air defense system that kind of rolls with you. And I'm not talking like a large integrated air defense, like you're going to have a rolling Patriot battery with you, but you're going to have on a smaller scale the ability to have something to protect your armor formation. Traditionally, our SHORAD consisted of things like the Avenger, which is basically a Humvee with stingers on it. Now, stingers and things like that have proven somewhat ineffective against drones. Case in point, a couple years ago, there was a video floating around of one of the drones that was out there just looking down at an SA-15 Tor, and the missile of the Tor came right past it because drones are incredibly hard to hit with those larger missiles that are meant for like helicopters or low-flying aircraft. Low-flying aircraft. I'm talking so quickly I'm mixing my words. Hopefully you found this insightful. Our technologies are rapidly advancing, and I'm going to be here to cover as much of it as I humanly can. Thanks for watching. New video every Tank Tuesday. As always, treat 'em rough. Join the tanks.